In a fresh diktat in Afghanistan's Kandahar province, Taliban orders not to take pictures or videos of living things, only allows text or audio content of activities.
Hope fades for Gaza ceasefire as Israel's government unanimously adopts a declaration rejecting the recognition of a Palestinian state. US forces in the Red Sea successfully conduct 5 self-defense strikes to foil attacks by land and sea from Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. After raising its flag in Avdiivka, Russia intensifies attack along the vast front line against Ukrainian troops. Farmers pause their protest march to Delhi after 4th round of talks with the government. The panel of 3 union ministers propose a 5-year plan for buying pulses, maize and cotton crops by government agencies at minimum support price. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi reasserts that his party, BJP, will return to power in general elections this summer, a win that will ensure a comfortable third term for him. As per the says that even foreign countries know that. Oppenheimer sweeps the BAFTAs this year, winning awards for director Christopher Nolan and actor Cillian Murphy, as well as taking home the prize for Best Film. Overall, the movie grabbed 7 Golden BAFTA masks.
Authorities in the southern Afghan province of Kandahar, the birthplace of the Taliban, ordered its officials on Sunday not to take pictures or videos of living things. The Taliban continues to violate many human rights, including implementing a system of total discrimination, exclusion and subjugation of women. Now, the facts on the ground have demonstrated an accelerated, systematic and all-engulfing system of segregation, marginalization and persecution. In a letter addressed to civil and military officials, the Provincial Department of Interior directed them to refrain from taking pictures of living things in formal and informal gatherings. The letter said it causes more harm than good. Now, it did not offer any more explanation on how it causes more harm than good. It was a one-line statement that it came as is. It said text or audio content on officials' activities was allowed. Images of humans and animals are generally avoided in Islamic art, extending for some Muslims to an aversion to any images of living things. Now, a spokesperson for Kandahar's governor told news agency AFP that the letter was authentic and that its instructions only applied to provincial officials. The spokesperson said, and I'm going to quote him here, "It is not related to the general public and independent media." Remember, television and pictures of living things were banned under the previous Taliban rule from 1996 to 2001. So it is not something which is happening for the first time. Now, here's a look at repression of rights after the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan more recently. August 2021, just days after seizing power, Taliban instructs women to stay at home and avoid travel. Then in September the same year, many girls were banned from schools, women from all sports, and men were barred from shaving their beards. Then in March of 2022, after that, foreign TV series were banned. Nowruz, which is pre-Islamic Persian New Year, it was also cancelled. Moving a little further, from the April in 2022, Taliban banned TikTok and popular online game PUBG. Then in May 2022, all women ordered to cover their faces in public by wearing an all-encompassing burqa or a niqab. Then December 2022, women were barred from attending all public and private universities. Taliban also banned local and foreign non-governmental organizations. No NGOs could function in Afghanistan anymore, and they banned them from employing Afghan women as well. January 2023, Taliban orders pharmacies not to sell contraceptives. February 2023, female medical staff in Kabul are ordered to wear the hijab and face masks at all times. April 2023, video games, foreign films and music is prohibited in Herat province. Then in July the same year, Taliban banned women's beauty salons. All teacher training centers were ordered to close. Afghanistan continues to stare at instability regardless of all the moves that they've been through, and it is a faltering economy. Eroded livelihoods and climate shocks have also put the social, economic and cultural rights of Afghans under pressure. Back to you, Him.
Thank you so much for that detailed report on that, Shivan. Well, with that, let's shift our focus for now. Let's talk about India and China now. The ties between the two nations are back in focus on account of two major developments. First, reports of the meet between Dr. S. Jaishankar and Chinese counterpart Wang Yi, and reports of occupational activity along the LAC. Now, in the latest, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi met on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference. This is the first in-person meet between the two in about 6 months. The India-China relationship in the backdrop has been marred by continuing tensions along the line of actual control that stemmed from the Galwan clashes of 2020. In the latest, reports have surfaced that the Chinese nationals have started occupying border defense villages along India's northeastern border. These are the Xiaokang border defense villages. Xiaokang means moderately prosperous or well-off villages, which began to crop up along the middle and eastern sectors of the line of actual control, about 6 to 7 kilometers from the line of actual control.
Needless to say, this is a concerning development, as this could mount to an escalation. Needless to say, this is a concerning development, as this could amount to an escalation in the ongoing tensions. As per reports, China has been building these so-called well-off villages since 2019, vacant up until a few months ago. These are now being taken up by Chinese nationals opposite the Lohit Valley and the Tawang sector of Arunachal Pradesh. While the exact purpose of these villages is not clear, it is perceived widely that these will serve as multi-purpose infrastructure, that is to say that they can serve both civilian and military purposes, which naturally is a concern for India. Another blatant display of China's baseless territorial claims. Earlier, as a response to these moves by China, the Indian government announced its Vibrant Villages program, and this was done in 2022 in a bid to develop its own modern villages in areas along the line of actual control.
Moving on to news now from the world of business. Troubling news emerges from Argentina as a new study reveals a startling reality under Javier Milei's administration.
Poverty levels have surged, marking the highest in 2 decades. Now, the poverty rate jumped from 49.5% in December 2023 to 57.4% in January 2024. Nearly 27 million Argentines are now considered poor, a 13% increase in just 4 months. Extreme poverty, or living on less than $2.5 per day, also rose, reaching 15% in January.
The impact felt across all sectors, particularly among those already vulnerable, such as single-parent households and informal workers. Even households receiving social benefits are struggling, with poverty levels within this group reaching 85.5% in January.
Now, there are several key factors at play here. Sharp devaluation of the peso has led to a significant increase in food prices, making basic necessities unaffordable for many. The cost of living continues to rise, eroding incomes and pushing families deeper into poverty. While intended to provide a safety net, social programs may not be reaching all those in need or offering sufficient support.
While the study it paints a grim picture, it's important to also note that their methodology differs from that of the National Statistics Bureau. INDEC measures poverty on a half-yearly basis, with the latest data showing 40.1% living in poverty in the first half of 2023. However, regardless of the methodology, the consensus is clear. Argentina is facing a severe socio-economic crisis. As the nation grapples with the ramifications of these findings, the implications for government policy and societal stability remain paramount.
Now, India is emerging as global investors' best bet in a world that's struggling to find growth.
Now, most global hedge funds are sorting Chinese markets and investing in India for long-term growth. Why is this happening and what are the implications? Take a look at our next report to find out.
Investors are shifting their focus from China to India. After 2 decades of heavy investment in China, Wall Street giants like Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley are now endorsing India as their prime investment destination for the next decade. The momentum towards India is evident in the financial world. Investment firms are increasing their exposure to India, citing reasons such as the country's fast-growing economy and expanding infrastructure under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership. Capital flows reflect this enthusiasm, with record inflows into Indian stocks and increasing interest from retail investors, including those from Japan. India's market capitalization has risen, overtaking Hong Kong to become the world's 4th largest equity market. Morgan Stanley predicts that India's stock market will become the 3rd largest by 2030. India's rise as an investment hotspot is fueled by its contrasting trajectory with China. While China grapples with economic challenges and geopolitical tensions, India presents itself as a stable and attractive alternative. Despite the optimism, challenges remain. Indian equities are among the most expensive in the world at the moment. However, proponents of investing in India remain bullish for the long term. They believe that India's low per capita income and ongoing reforms set the stage for multi-year expansion and new market opportunities. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Moving on to all the major developments from the world of technology now. 20 major tech companies have joined forces to prevent deceptive AI content from influencing global elections this year.
Signatories of the agreement include tech giants like OpenAI, Microsoft, Adobe, Meta platforms, TikTok and X. Now, the agreement involves developing detection tools, public awareness campaigns and taking action against misleading content generated by AI. Instances of AI being used to manipulate politics have already started surfacing, such as the fake audio robocall impersonating US President Joe Biden in January. Generative AI is capable of producing text. It can make images and videos rapidly. That has raised concerns about its potential misuse in swaying elections as a large portion of the world's population prepares to vote.
The European Union has fined Apple nearly $539 million for allegedly breaching the EU competition law. In the European Union, this law keeps competition fair by stopping companies from teaming up or dominating markets which could harm society's interests. Last year, the European Commission had accused Apple of distorting competition in the music streaming market through its App Store rules, which prevent developers from informing users of other purchasing options.
Researchers have discovered a link between smart garden mowers and cybercrime. According to a study, hackers could exploit the lawnmowers software, making it a gateway for attacks on the home network. Smart devices like mowers are a part of the Internet of Things or IoT technology. Internet of Things or IoT is a term that describes everyday objects like appliances, thermostats, or even cars that are connected to the Internet and can communicate with each other and with its users. IoT devices are attractive to hackers due to easy access and proximity to valuable data. And according to the report, homes with such devices face around 12,000 hack attempts weekly. To secure IoT devices, experts recommend changing default settings, regular updates, and network segregation.
And if extreme challenges are your cup of tea, NASA has the perfect opportunity for you. NASA has issued a call for volunteers for its year-long simulated Mars mission. Volunteers will need to participate in its second year-long simulated Mars mission called Shapir 2, and the mission requires 4 crew members to live in a 1,700 square foot 3D printed habitat in Houston starting spring 2025 called the Mars Dune Alpha Habitat. The habitat simulates life on Mars, and the habitat also simulates what life might be like for future explorers on the red planet, where the environment is harsh and resources are limited. And during their stay, volunteers will perform habitat maintenance and grow crops, among other tasks. The habitat also has a 1,200 square foot sandbox attached to it for simulated spacewalks. To be considered, applicants must be US citizens aged 30 to 55 with a master's degree in STEM and have professional experience and flight hours.
The applications are open until 2nd of April on the Shapir website.